This is Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soibifa Jackridge. Israel bombarded Gaza with more airstrikes on Monday ahead of an anticipated ground operation into the besieged Palestinian enclave as the United Nations warned that civilians were running out of places to seek shelter. In signs that the conflict was spreading, Israeli aircraft also struck southern Lebanon overnight, and Israeli troops clashed with Palestinian in occupied West Bank, residents said. More aid crossed the border into Gaza on Sunday, but the UN humanitarian agency said it was just a fraction of the amounts needed to help a desperate population short of food, water, medicine, and fuel. The Israeli military said on Monday morning that in the past 24 hours, it has struck more than 320 targets in Gaza, including a tunnel housing Hamas fighters and dozens of command and lookout posts. It said in a statement that it destroyed sites liable to endanger the troops who are preparing on the Gaza periphery for a ground maneuver, as well as dozens of mortar and anti-tank missile launcher positions. Palestinian media reported that the Israeli attack concentrated on the Gaza Strip center and north. A strike on a house near the Jabaliya refugee camp in northern Gaza killed several Palestinians and wounded others, according to the media reports. Machado, who has pledged to be privatized state oil company PDVSA if elected president, was tallying 93% of the votes. With more than 26% of ballot boxes counted, the primaries organizing commission said around midnight on Sunday, 0400 GMT on Monday, industrial engineer Maria Corina Machado declared victory overnight in the Venezuelan opposition's presidential primary after she tallied a huge portion of votes, with the count just over a quarter finished. The count, delayed by a server blockage, was expected to continue on Monday. It was unclear when the next result date would be given. Participation in the vote, organized without government help, was more than double what had been expected in some states. Despite the relocation of polling places, long lines, and the lack of gasoline and public transport in some areas, Machado's nearest rival, former lawmaker Carlos Prosperi, had 4.75% of the votes. Machado, 56, had led her rivals by some 40 points in polls. Her ability to run in the general election remains uncertain, as she is still barred from public office over her support of the sanctions on Maduro's government. The opposition and government last week signed an election deal allowing each side to choose its candidates according to internal rules, but not retracting the disqualifications. The opposition, which says the disqualifications are unlawful, has been reticent about what it would do if Machado wins the primary but is unable to compete in 2024. Machado had said she could pressure the electoral authorities to let her register, while others have argued a substitute will be necessary. The Philippines on Monday called China an aggressor, accusing it of increasing tensions in South China Sea and causing the collision that damaged one of Manila's boats during a resupply mission. No one was harmed when a Chinese Coast Guard ship and one of Manila's smaller wooden resupply boats made contact on Sunday, but the incident has drawn international condemnation and expressions of concern from the United States. All incidents like this will bolster the case that it's not the Philippines that's the aggressors, but the other party, which is China. Philippine Foreign Ministry spokesperson Carista Daza told a joint news conference on Monday. China's Coast Guard said on Sunday there had been a slight collision between one of its ships and the Philippine boats, while the Coast Guard was lawfully blocking the boat from transporting illegal construction materials. It was not the first time that China's Coast Guard, backed by its maritime militia boats, have interfered with the Philippines' resupply mission. On August 5th, a Chinese Coast Guard ship used a water cannon against the resupply boats. The regular resupply missions are for Philippine troops living abroad. The PRB Sierra Madre, a former warship that Manila grounded on the second Thomas Shaw in 1999 to assert its sovereignty claim. Chinese e-commerce platforms, including PDD Holdings, Pinduoduo, and Alibaba's Tabua, are offering deep discounts on Apple's latest iPhone 15 series, with some selling models up to 900 yuan below the retail price. Analysts says the iPhone 15 has not been selling as well in China as its predecessors. Counterpoint Research said last week that iPhone 15 sales in China were down 4.5% versus iPhone 14 in the first 17 days, after after its market launch. Apple, Pinduoduo, and Alibaba did not immediately respond to requests for comments. In China, Apple will occasionally allow partner vendors to offer discounts to spur demand, but Chinese e-commerce platforms have also been locked in a value for money battle as customers tighten their belts amid a slowing economy, with discounting a key focus of forthcoming annual Singles a Day shopping festival. Pinduoduo is offering the 128GB version of the iPhone 15 Plus at 6,980 yuan, 900 yuan less than Apple's retail price of 6,999 yuan. The 512GB iPhone 15 Pro Max, which has 11,999 yuan price tag in Apple Store, can be bought for 10,698 yuan on Alibaba's e-commerce platform Taobao. The e-commerce platforms informed the e-commerce platform iPhone 15 discounts were first reported by the Economic Observer weekly newspaper on Monday. The yield on benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury note rose about 5.0% on Monday, hitting the July 2007 milestone that it briefly attempted to scale last week. The run-up in yields on the 10-year Treasury bond, seen as a safe haven in times of economic uncertainty and a benchmark for borrowing costs around the world, has been driven by investors pricing in stronger U.S. growth as well as fiscal slippage. Yields at the long end rose quickly after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said last week that the U.S. economic strength and hot labor market might warrant tighter financial conditions. The 10-year yield touched 5.004% on Monday, up around 8 basis points on the day. It was briefly bid at a 16-year high of 5.0001% on Thursday. It has risen 160 basis points since mid-May. Treasury borrowing costs have climbed, and a divided Congress has bickered over next year's spending bill while using the stopgap measures to advert a shutdown of government operations. In the background, the Fed is reducing its bond holdings in the year September 2023. The U.S. government posted a $1.695 trillion budget deficit, a 23% jump from the prior year and the largest since a COVID-fueled $2.78 trillion gap in 2021. The deficit comes as President Joe Biden is asking Congress for $100 billion in new foreign aid and security spending, including $60 billion for Ukraine and $14 billion for Israel, along with funding for U.S. border security and the Indo-Pacific region. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Monday.